G'day guys, this is a review of the Sony Action Cam, the first real competitor which I've seen to the GoPro. Now I've reviewed the contour camera and I kind of like that, and you know, everyone's always talking about the GoPro. Everybody has a GoPro if they're using extreme stuff. Now I've been using some extreme stuff, I've been doing all sorts of crazy stuff. One of the things that I did was I went to a Gymkhana day with the New South Wales Subaru Impreza Club, and guess what? I got to sit in the car and do some really crazy stuff, but to prove it, I had to capture on a camera. So I reached out to Sony, I said, guys, I want to check out your action cam because I'm going to do a bit of action. And they lent me the camera, which I'm actually using here. You can probably, if I turn this around, you'll see. There it is right there. And I'm using it to film this review, as well as my SLR, just in case this all turns to crap, but we don't know for sure. So, you can see the footage in a separate video. I'll obviously link that up so you can check it out. But some of the things to really talk about and why it's good and why it's not good at the same time. One reason why it's good, it takes really good footage. If you have a look at the video, it looks really nice. That's one of the great features. The shape of the actual camera is a pro and a con. You know, when you look at it, it's the long size. So I've got no real example unless I pick this up. I can. So you can kind of mount it on the side of your head, really handy. And when you're mounting it to a car or whatever, it doesn't really matter. You can put it wherever you want. But when you're talking about things like chest mounts, not very good because it's got the long shape and you don't need that. So that's one of the things that I had to mention was, you know, the shape works in pros and cons for it. With the GoPro, it's a very small little rectangle, so you can put it on a chest mount. You can put it almost anywhere and it's going to fit really well. Well, the GoPro is not as good as if you want to mount it on the side of your helmet, because guess what? It's going to be like really out there. You're going to put it on top, which isn't really the same thing. So that's one thing to take note of. Some of the things which disappointed me on the day was the lack of accessories that I could actually get for the Sony Action Cam. Was not a lot was available. They had adhesive strips and stuff like that, which, you know what, isn't very portable, because once you stick it on, that adhesive was so strong you couldn't really get it off very easily, and that was annoying. Another thing which really annoyed me was the fact that I had to only use music in the video, which you'll see, because at 60 and 120 frames per second, it drops the audio, so you just can't hear anything. So I'm recording this at 30 frames per second on 720p, just because I wanted to make sure I get some sound. And that really sucks when you spend a whole day at the track and you don't take note of what's going on. That's a real shame. So one of the good things though is it will accept normal mounts. You see it was mounted on the Joby GorillaPod. That's just a twist on, which is really handy. And it's inside the waterproof case. The waterproof case will take you down to 60 meters, which is really nice. What is going on in my face? So that's really handy. But, so a couple of things. Also on the case, you'll also notice you've only got the one button on the back to start and record, and there's a switch to actually hold the button so you don't accidentally press it. That's really good, but at the same time, there's so many other buttons on the actual device which you can't get to and you can't make adjustments to without, you know, taking it out of the waterproof case and so on, which, you know what, if say for example you are scuba diving, that's going to be a real problem, because once you take it out of the case, it's no longer waterproof, and you start pushing buttons, you're going to destroy the camera. That's a bit of a shame. But it's an understandable disadvantage, it's one or the other. So also, you can actually control the Action Cam through your phone. So you can download the app and you can live view, you can transfer files, and you can make setting adjustments as well, which is really handy. That's a really cool feature. It does have Wi-Fi built in, if you didn't know. The new GoPros have Wi-Fi built in as well, which, you know, we're starting to see more of a level playing field on that one. Also, because it does stand upright when you notice sort of facing like this, that's really great. But if I tipped it sideways and wanted to record, the Action Cam doesn't actually help you out in that way. You can't actually image rotate the lens. Now you can do that on the contour camera, I know that for sure, and I just double checked you can also do it on the GoPros. So if you do have it mounted sideways, you can still, you know, twist the lens so you're still going to get that perfect 16:9 landscape image that you wanted. So that was one of the shames. It is light. It's actually lighter than all three of the competitors that's in the market. So that's a bit of an advantage if weight is an issue, especially when you do mount it to your head. After some time it can get annoying. Speaking of some time, you've got 1 hour maximum recording time. So that is a lot. If you're doing some crazy stuff for more than an hour, you're gonna lose your video, but you know, an hour is kind of plenty, especially depending on the card that you put in there. You probably fill it before you get there anyway. A 2 megapixel camera. So if you do, for example, want to use your Sony camera to take pictures, you only got 2 megapixels to play with. So you're talking about small web images and stuff like that. Whereas the other competitors are up to 11 megapixels on some of them, which is really quite high. But that's one of the disadvantages. You know what? I don't know many people who should actually be using action cameras for taking pictures. I just don't get it. You know, it's not its sole purpose in my belief. But anyway, that's one thing to note. The price is around $3.99 in Australia. And when you talk about $3.99, you're talking about the bigger bucks. You're really up there with the higher end GoPros instead of the lower end one as well. So there is a lot more to be competing against. I think they kind of need to price themselves a little bit lower to be competitive. It's kind of like the whole iPad issue. You know, Apple brings out this iPad, and it's kind of like the GoPro of the market. And then Sony will bring out a tablet, and then they price it the exact same as the iPad or higher. And your issue becomes, well, why would I buy it? You know, why would I buy it when it's not the established company, it's not the established brand or the one that everyone has? And that's what they seem to be doing again with the camera, and that's a bit of a disadvantage. But you know, if they drop the price a little bit, I actually like the camera. I like the way it worked. The video came out really good. I should have just learnt about the whole 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second audio issue. I should have known that. And you know, my next time using it, I'll know better. But you know, there's a bit to learn, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, once you start recording these things, you play with it, you put them on YouTube, and you share it around with your friends, you can capture some really cool stuff. And it's not just necessarily what you do in cars, you can do it on mountain bikes and so on. There's plenty of mounts for them. Definitely worth checking out. If you don't have any of them, you know, this could be a good start. But yeah, the pricing is what really, you know, steers people away. You know, why wouldn't you just get the GoPro for that price? But check it out. If the shape is kind of going to be the differentiating factor for you on whether you put it on the side of your head or not, I think that's what it comes down to. This is my extreme wear goggles, Harbour Bridge climb hat, because I did that. And that's pretty extreme, right? And dog tags. Yeah, dog tags. Alright guys, I'm out. You can laugh at me now. Thanks for watching. Bye.